Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between a FruitVendor or OGS Cool versus NEXGenius here on Scrap Station. NEXGenius spawning as the blue Protoss player at the 3 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have FruitVendor spawning over here at the 12 o'clock position as the red Zerg. So it will be Zerg versus Protoss here on Scrap Station, and I'm looking forward to this match. I really like FruitVendor or OGS Cool. He always has some very interesting play. I believe this is the first time I've ever cast a game with NEXGenius, so I'm not 100% sure on his playstyle. Now on Scrap Station, I do suspect the Zerg player will try to go for an early hatchery, if not a 14, at least some sort of 16 or 18 hatchery after the spawning pool, and then try to get these additional Vespene geysers in order to try to create Mutalisk. Mutalisk very strong on this map, just because of the short flying distance between these two locations. Now, Protoss players for some reason really don't like to go Phoenixes all that often, perhaps for Overlord hunting, but never a Phoenix army to try to counter a Mutalisk army. But then the Mutalisk is much more effective at dealing with a ground army and an air army, as the Phoenix needs the graviton beam units in order to really do anything. Taking a look at the production, you see a gateway now being thrown down here as this probe now moves out to do some early scouting or some standard scouting. Back over here, taking a look in the base of FruitVendor looking to throw, looking like he's going to go for a 14 hatchery. So it is going to be a very early hatchery play, as this hatchery now going to be built by this one drone. So drone gets to grow up and be a hatchery. Now Peppy the probe going to be coming up and around this corner, will be able to find this early hatchery, and we'll see how NEXGenius responds. Will he try to go for some sort of early gateway, a 2-gate push, or will he go for the Cybernetics core? He does have an assimilator already up, and it looks as though he will transfer some probes over there. If he sees this early expansion, will he decide to pull those probes off and go for another gateway, or will he just continue to train up more and try to get that Cybernetics core with Stalkers and some warp in? Back over here, we now see the spawning pool coming in for FruitVendor. So FruitVendor pretty much opening with a standard strategy, nothing too out of the ordinary. One Overlord kind of spazzing out, doing dancing in place there. No Zealots being trained, just probes coming out for NEXGenius. And now we see NEXGenius sitting on a large cache of minerals. He may be trying to go for an expansion of his own and trying to get an expansion to keep up or get ahead of the Zerg point. No, instead now going for that Cybernetics core and that assimilator. And I'm not 100% sure why there was such a long delay in that. The Cybernetics core could have come in much more quickly, and now we see that the Overlord comes in, does not gain sight of that assimilator yet. So I do not believe FruitVendor knows if there's any Vespene or any assimilators currently being used. I believe he did see one probe with a little bit of a box of gas there. Back over here, we now see the probe trying to harass this drone. That drone down to 15 hit points, now circling around as we now see Zerglings being trained up. We do have one queen being trained up at each of the hatcheries. So that now down, will this drone get taken down? Zap. Yeah, so we have a hero probe, that one probe able to get off one kill, and now that probe now trying to head back home. Will it be able to? Not 100% sure. The Zerglings do move a little bit faster at 2.95 compared to 2.81, but that probe now backing away. Back over here, one Zealot sitting in this position, and we now have a chrono boosted Stalker. Overlord already trying to make its way out of the base. Will it be able to make it out in time? That gateway still training up that Stalker there, and now also getting the sentry. So that sentry will allow for some force field play, as there is an artificial very tight opening right here between the Cybernetics core and this gateway, as the warp gate research now being warped or now currently being researched. Back over here, Overlord down to 63 hit points, may be able to get a little bit more shots if it comes over here, and that Overlord down to 9 hit points. There it goes, just within range as that Stalker gets that last hit. Back over here, we do see that spawn larva continuing to be used by FruitVendor here and here as well. There should be a fair amount of larva between these two buildings already. So yeah, we have what, 3 larva. Someone told me this trick. Yeah, 5 larvae between these two buildings, and now producing more and more. Warp gate research nearing completion as well. Currently halfway, now being chrono boosted, as a sentry and 2 sentries now being warped out. So what's going to be happening? One Zergling may be able to get some sort of run by into this base. However, there's going to be enough probes to deal damage. We do have a Nexus now being warped in over here by NEXGenius. So Genius now getting that Nexus will be able to get a strong economy going as well. Perhaps taking a look at the harvester count, will be able to transfer some of these probes over, as there already are diminishing returns on these probes. Back over here, Zealots, sentries, and stalkers move out. We do have, what, 2 sentries down over here, and this is the reason why NEXGenius is able to get this one nexus, because he went for 4 sentries very, very early. He had an influx of minerals, so this is going to work out fairly well. However, Zerglings now putting pressure on this destructible debris, and NEXGenius does not know about these destructible rocks currently being taken down. More and more Zerglings now coming in as well. Will those Zerglings be able to deal anything, as there are pylons in position? No, couple quick hits over there. Sentries may be able to get a couple quick zaps, but there is not enough zealots to deal with these number of Zerglings. These rocks, however, will take quite some time to get taken apart as, or no, destroyed, as the armor of 3 on those destructible rocks, reducing the damage on these Zerglings from 5 down to 3, or down to 2. Back over here, Zerglings, now more zealots being warped in the correct counter unit towards those Zerglings with that additional support, and now trying to pressure out, move out a little bit, and now in come those Zerglings. No Zerglings are not going to try to engage, as we now have a forge coming in. However, these rocks are down to 300 hit points, and now with FruitVendor opening this back door up, he will be able to just simply swarm into here. In comes this probe. Probe now sees that there are units swarming in through this side, and this is going to be very bad. He needs to leave 1 sentry over there. Oh, able to block it off. Very nicely done, as probes are now being transferred over. Probes, however, just falling to the wayside here as this fight continues. Sentries now dropping in a couple force fields. Nicely done. A lot of these sentries are going to be caught out of position, but really another pylon needs to be warped in here to try to finish off this wall, and now these early units getting caught up a little bit on top of each other there. Down goes this pylon, and now these sentries should be able to block off this ramp here. Block off this really tight choke point here, and then clean up the Zerglings on this high ground. Not 100% sure what NEXGenius is doing. NEXGenius needs to get that in position with 1 photon cannon now. Zerglings and sentries. Sentries are not going to be that strong of a counter. Really need to just try to trap some of these Zerglings. Sentries not going to be able to move up that ramp, blocking that. Now getting the force fields there. 2 or 3 Zerglings quickly taken down. However, those sentries unable to get on top of that ramp. Back over here, Banelings busting through this pylon, and now that's going to be a quick run by, and now FruitVendor able to just deal so much damage. Back over here, Sentry is going to get taken down by Zerglings. Zerglings now running into the base of NEXGenius here. May lose this Nexus over here. Probes coming off the mineral line. However, both Nexuses now getting pressured, so this is going to be very, very bad position as well. Sentries, mass Sentries trying to deal with these Zealots. Force field trying to protect this Nexus, but unable to. So 1 Nexus is down, 2 Nexuses are down, and that's gotta be game. For a long time, NEXGenius will not be able to mine. However, back over here, we do see Zerglings now getting caught up on top of each other. All these Zerglings will get taken down as they are stuck in this position over here as these sentries continue to fire with those particle beams, trying to destroy more and more, disruption beams, trying to destroy them. And NEXGenius says GG. So FruitVendor opening up this back door off of over here with this destructible debris using Zerglings. Now NEXGenius, it was his fault for not putting a pylon in this position and at least putting 1 sentry. All it would take is 1 or 2 sentries on this ramp to start taking down these units here, and then he would have been in a much better position, as he would have had 2 bases compared to the Zerg's 2 bases as well. Also, really nice play by FruitVendor, opening and changing into a Baneling bust on top of a Protoss player. These 2 pylons, those Banelings were positioned, I believe, perfectly in between these 2 in order to try to take down these 2 pylons. Pylons only have 200 hit points, so I believe 5 Banelings should be enough to take down these 2. And as soon as those 2 were taken down, Zerglings were able to swarm in, take down this Nexus on the high ground at the starting location, and this Nexus down over here as the army was split. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between FruitVendor and NEXGenius here on Scrap Station.